So here we have the CL220. It's an offline feeder, meaning it's got hoses that go to your plumbing rather than being plumbed in directly. And here's the hardware. We're gonna assemble this. The only tools you're gonna need, as this looks like it comes with everything, is either a 3/4 inch for tightening these two fittings, or a pair of channel locks will work. So on this, it's got an inside and it's got an outside, and you've got an inside and an outside. The outside actually has a ball valve in it to prevent any backflow, so your chlorine doesn't go the opposite way back into the pump and through your system. So basically the ball valve one is going to be your out, and you can hear it in there. So basically if you were to blow backwards, it locks up and doesn't let the water go reverse through the chlorine feeder. So ball valve goes on the out, hollow one goes on the in. So they've supplied us with some Teflon, and we're just going to use what they've supplied us with. Real good. On the Monster, I like to do 3 wraps, this stuff. 3 to 5. And this is the in one with no ball valve in it. So we're gonna hand tighten that in. She gets nice and tight. She's nice and tight, and I'm gonna give her one more turn. That's good and tight. And we're gonna Teflon our outlet side with the ball valve in it. Let's go up and over the threads, so that way when we're tightening it in, it doesn't tear our Teflon off. And once again, hand tight. Try our channel locks this time. And we're just gonna get her nice and snug. All right. So now that those are on, the next step is to install the 2 nipple inserts into our 1.5 or 2 inch plumbing, depending on what you have. These nipples basically come with an O-ring, and as you can see, they've got this curved shape, so they basically fit your round pipe. Going into your plumbing, it's going to call for a 3/8 inch drill bit. As you can see, I've already got these drilled because we're just replacing them, but I'm going to go over what you need to do in case you were to put a new one on. I'm here, might as well do it. So as you can see from the old one, basically they've drilled a 3/8 inch hole, and that's kind of it. You want to, for the inlet side, you want to come close to where the pipe's coming out of the top of your pump. So basically your inlet side's going to come. I like to leave 6 to 8 inches between an angle and this piece, because basically these 90s and stuff will vortex and mess with your flow. They say 12 to 18 is best, but as you can see on this system, we've got 15 inches to the filter. So on this, a 1/4 inch driver works great on these. So now that I've got my 1/4 inch driver, I'm going to take these old ones off and replace them with new ones, because there's no sense leaving any old pieces if they've bought, or if you've bought the new ones. You could always save these old ones for an emergency situation in case something breaks. So, as you can see, on the inlet side of the chlorine feeder, we're coming directly off of the pump. We're going to stay at least 6 inches from any 90. And they've taken a 3/8 inch bit, drilled a hole, and now we can put our new inlet in with our hose clamp. So as we look at this, there's a little bit of a curve right there. We know that's gonna hug the roundedness of the pipe. Like so. And if you look at your hose clamp, it's got a pre-factory hole in it that's going to slip right over there. So we're going to take this all the way apart, so that way we can slip the collar around the pipe itself. Now that that's apart, make sure your nut driver's facing a direction that you can access it well. And as you can see, there is some flat spots on the sides to guide you on this, which will let you know if your piece that you're putting in your pipe is cocked the wrong direction. So now that we got that on there, we're gonna tighten this down, and we'll tighten it down. And as we tighten it, we're gonna see that O-ring in there kind of squish out a little bit. So once you see it squishing out a little bit, you know she's tight, and we got a new piece in there. And we can take out the old, and that's it. I have pre-checked this. I have not added chlorine to this one in months. I know that there's just water in it, so that's why I'm not worried about chlorine gases and whatnot coming out of these ends. And as we're tightening it down, you're going to see that O-ring start sucking outward. So it's come with two different hoses, and these are our hose nuts, compression nuts. Get all the knots out of it. So on this line, basically your compression nut's gonna slip over top of it, and you're gonna feed it through. And we'll go underneath, and we're gonna go in here. So as you can see, you're gonna push this in as far as it'll go, and then slip your compression nut onto it and screw it down nice and hand tight. As it tightens, it compresses onto that line, sealing it. So once it's nice and hand tight, we can feed our line way here, and that's our outlet side. So being our outlet side and our inlet side, so basically our inlet side is going to come right off the pump before the filter, and it's going to push water into our chlorine feeder. Through here, and what it does is it fills this canister up, which is full of chlorine pucks. And as it fills up, then it pushes its way back through the outlet. And the outlet line always goes in after the pump, filter, and heater, because we don't want any of that chlorine going through our machinery and our heater and our equipment. So basically, just before the line goes back into the return outlets or returns to the pool, we want to drill our 3/8 inch hole here. So that water comes in, just right past the pump, goes through the chlorine pucks, comes back out of the chlorine feeder, and goes into the return line just before it goes back to the pool, skipping all of the equipment. So after we get that measured, that's plenty. They can pull it outward, inward. So we'll give that a cut. Take our compression nut, slip that on, and we're gonna feed that in here to the outlet side as far as we can push it in, and then tighten down the nut. And that'll go in, push it in as far as it'll go, and tighten down. Compression nut to the inlet side, push it in, and give it a hand tight. And that's it. So basically, here's our lid. We'll place chlorine pucks in there. Got a volume control. Looks like 1 to 8. I've got a picture of the volume it'll put out. At 100%, it looks like it'll do 2.5 pounds of chlorine per day. At 50%, it looks like it'll do about 0.6 pounds. So give or take, not fully sure of what it'll do. I think that's rated at 50 gallons per minute. So everybody's pump and flow is different. So it's definitely something you'll have to fill up. And I recommend, you know, just putting it on 1 for a day, testing your pool, see if the chlorine levels are raising or going down, or so they just don't get out of control. And this is what happened on our old one that we just replaced. As you can see right here, there's a little release lever, and basically that release lever controls it so you don't over tighten it. So once it's down far enough, it'll click into that place. And what happens is people forget to push this in. When they take it off, it breaks off, and then once that's broke, basically they over tighten it down and it keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter, whereas the O-ring outside tends to leak, or you just can't get the lid off. So definitely make sure you press this release lever in every time you take the top off, and click, and there it is. So we fired back up the pump. As you see, it's all primed up, flowing good. We're just going to check to make sure nothing's leaking by running our fingers underneath everything. No leaks. There. Looks like everything's good. And that's kind of it. We know everything's working because we can see the lines jump as we turn the volume up. And I can hear the water going through it. So on this dial, we'll set it to 1, and we'll test the chlorine tomorrow.